Prepare yourself for invasion. This is Indie Invasion.
We're both here, guys. We're both here tonight. What sort of craziness is that? Hi, Eric. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Nice little week of rest and catch up on house stuff and all that fun stuff. Real life stuff.
You have ketchup in your house?
Well, yeah.
Oh, catch up on. Oh, okay. I have my Alzheimer's dog barking in the background. So I'll periodically be turning off my microphone so y'all don't have to listen to that. Can't do anything about it. Apologies. He's like 700 years old in dog years. So, you know, what are you going to do? They're your family. And he's the grumpy old man in the house. So he gets to be over there and be the grumpy old man. And I think he's barking at the wall right now. So.
Oh, boy.
It's an important thing to bark at and often needs to be barked at. So, you know.
I just thought I should probably do a post because we can't get Facebook to work. So,
yep, go figure. Go figure. All kinds of. I've been kicked off Facebook 2 times for I have no idea why. And I mean, I guess I could have gone to Facebook jail, but the only thing that I post on Facebook is pictures of tiny plastic men. So if that ended me up in Facebook jail somehow, I don't know. But anyway, it's good to have Eric back. We had a good hobby night last week. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, Eric. We were, if we'd have had Tonio and Alder on there, we would have had Alaska, South America, Canada, and Australia. So that would have been we were super international last week. I got a bunch of stuff painted. I'm still working on a bunch of stuff. The 3D printer goes burr. You know, that thing is, I'm still pumping out a whole bunch of miniatures because, I could lie and say there's actually a reason, but there really isn't. So while we wait for Eric to post the message on Facebook here.
Oh man, this is really, I don't know what they did to change.
And drink my coffee while we wait for you.
But yeah, they did something that's just yuck.
Was there an update? I didn't even see.
I don't know. I wonder.
Who knows? Who knows? It's the Facebook, so who really knows? Well, anyway, what you been working on there, Chief? Tonio, there he is. Northern hello. That's a cold hello. Chilly hello. Man, I got on Instagram today and I was looking at some, Tonio has some pictures of his orphans posted and they're so good, man. The paint job is just so fantastic. It's ridiculous.
So have you seen an uptick in Twisted stuff lately? Like people working on stuff?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But
I've seen one in you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me. So now that the sale is official, you know, and there's a direction for it, it kind of motivates you. Plus, my normal modus operandi for Twisted was to scour the internet for cool models that would fit the theme of Twisted. You know, whatever that may be, whatever crazy stuff. But now that I have the 3D printer, now I don't scour the internet. I just scour my mini factory.
Just make your own.
Right. I spend, you know, $6 for 6 minis and print as many as I want. And I've posted a few of those things. I've actually been with the 3D printer. I've been printing up some more stuff for Deep Wars and Shadow Sea. So for those who've been around for a long time know that if I had to list my top 3 games, it's Twisted, Drowned Earth, and Deep Wars and Shadow Sea. I love those 3 systems. I love the models. I love the rules. I love the dynamics of the game. I love everything about all three of those games. And with the 3D printer and the way that the Shadow Sea Deep Wars system works, what I like about it is it's built in that you can design your own profiles for cards. So it's just the calculations are built in there in the back of the book, so you can do just pretty much whatever you want. And the world is a very journey to the center of the earth, steampunk, Victorian sort of feel. Tonio, the Deep Wars models are so cool, man. Much like, actually, you know, of those three games, they all do something that was very unique, which I think is what attracted me to them. Twisted, the steampunk Victorian. Steampunk is out there a little bit in the skirmish wargaming, but it's not a big focus. So,
it was hot for a while, and then it kind of not went away, but settled down a little bit.
Well, it just doesn't seem as prevalent, like the fantasy genre or the sci-fi genre. You know, it's not just permeating, and so that was the appeal, especially where it's the setting and the dynamics of the game. And then Drowned Earth was post-apocalyptic, but everybody's done post-apocalyptic. But everybody does it right after the apocalypse. This is a long time after the apocalypse. The world has recovered. The flora has taken back over.
The world's kind of adapted to a different,
right?
You know, something happened, and this is what happened with the world. It changed,
right? So it's post-apocalyptic, but it's a different spin on post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And then Deep Wars. What underwater game is there? Skirmish game.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, is there? That's the only one that I know of.
Yeah, I mean, I think the closest you get is something Games Workshop did. I don't know if it was for Age of Sigmar or Warcry or one of their skirmish games where they did the Sea Elves.
Yeah.
But that's as close as game, and that wasn't really underwater. Your undead army wasn't going underwater to fight the Sea Elves. Whereas Deep Wars and Shadow Sea do. And the other thing I liked about those games is it had an elevation, because since you were swimming, you could be at different depths and represent your models being at those different depths. So all three of them had something a little unique to all of them.
Yeah.
So I've been printing a bunch of stuff for that too. All that to say, I've been printing a bunch of stuff for Deep Wars too.
Yeah, I was looking the other day at what was it? It's Trailer Park
Warlords. Yep.
Warlords. To see if there was any updates, because I know they did try to do a Kickstarter and it just wasn't going well, so they pulled it to kind of tweak some stuff. And I don't know if Kickstarter is just the right fit. I think Kickstarter nowadays is just it doesn't work for the small company anymore, I don't think.
If I remember correctly, talking to Mike, they're not going to do Kickstarter for it. Like they're almost ready. They got new artwork, new rule book stuff. I mean, it's a super fun game to play. It is.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it come out, because I've watched some of their videos, and I know he did plan to do some new videos and stuff with like how-tos and stuff with the Kickstarter, and just with them pulling the plug, I think things just got kind of pushed back a little bit because it's going to take longer now.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see just some stuff come out and just get out there. I kind of think what they need to do what they're doing, just keep hitting the circuit of different shows and show it off, because it seems like no matter what shows they go to, it's super popular.
Oh yeah, it's hands down for the cons that I've been to where it's there. It's the best game there for a convention game. You know what I mean? Like, you can sit down with a bunch of other people and you're friends with them by the end. I know that happens a lot in our gaming communities, but it's still it's just a super fun convention game. Alder, sir.
Alder.
Tonio and Alder, we missed both of you last week because we actually had people from South America on too. We were going global last week for hobby night, man. We were global. So I was looking for you guys. I even made mention of both of you. We had Alaska and South America. So
man.
But anyway, so yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Okay.
I think everybody's fully aware of what I've been working on because I've been posting it everywhere.
It's always fun to get that excitement back where
yes,
whether it's like maybe a new release or just new system or something new in a game that you love. Because it renews that passion, and that fire a little bit, which this time of the year, I think it's really hard to maintain when it starts getting nice outside.
Yeah.
Family vacations start. The kids are out of school now.
We just went to the water park today. So,
that's hard.
It was hard. It was terrible. It was awful.
For me, it's the weather's nice, so I have to do stuff to the house outside. I got to cut the grass all the time. I have to fix this.
I mean, I still have to do that too, but I still have 2 kids at home, so I've got a work crew. I've got a pretty decent work crew. They're pretty hard workers, but so anyway, what we were going to talk about tonight was when I first got this idea, I saw somebody else did this. Did something along these lines, and it was the concept of bad rules but a great concept. So I don't know if any of you guys have encountered a bad rule set, but as I was thinking through it, and I told Eric just before we sat down, I said, first of all, I can't think of a bad rule set yet.
Well, it's hard to be negative too, you don't.
Except for some of the stuff GW has done, right? I mean, they get bashed all the time for bad rules. But aside from that, I can't really think of one. And I don't want to be the guy that's that wants to trash somebody's rule set. I think there's always something good in rules. So there's a little bit of a twist on what we were going to talk about, and that's what do you do with bad rules within the game. Now, quick caveat, all of this is totally subjective because the example Eric and I were talking about is Wild West Exodus 2nd edition, right? I don't think it's
ready to make me cry.
I'm going to make you cry. I think it's a terrible rule set for that game. I think it's a terrible rule set, but Eric likes the rule set. So it's very, very subjective when it comes to these rules. So as we throw that out there, just kind of keep that in the back of your brain that there may be something you absolutely love that somebody else is like, that is the dumbest rule ever in this game. And there you go. Alder sums it up right there. Do your own thing. Now, doggone it, Alder, you just stole my thunder for the entire show. Now we're just going to have to sit here and stare at each other. Because that is ultimately what it boils down to.
Yeah. Both of us have done that. You've done that with designing. Well, and I guess I have too. Coming up with our own scenarios for Twisted. Right. I've done that with Wild West Exodus for just different events at Adepticon, like a side event, something that's not just, okay, let's just fight it out. Let's do something that's a little more thematic and scenario based. So it's like we're taking that system and tweaking it, right? Doing something that's fun and different. Sometimes they break the rules, but hey, what we want, right?
Right. So to answer Terrence, which bad rules? Well, again, like we said, that's very subjective. I'll give you an example. Let me back up a little bit. So what do you do when you encounter those bad rules? And with all the guys that typically watch Indie Invasion, we all know we're going to get the same answer. Do your own thing. Right. Terrence said, they're your toys. Yep. Nobody's going to come into your basement or your game room and tell you how you're going to play your game. But we do play these games with other people, right? And here's where the subjective part comes in. The person you're playing against may like said bad rule. You may not. So what do you do? I'm sorry. Terrence interrupted me with that rage quit. No, not rage quit. You put a question mark, so I'm answering the question. No rage quitting. No rage quitting. But I think so. I think when you come to those bad rules, there's actually a lot of things that you can do, right? You can just ignore the rule. You can just not let it play in the game. You can rewrite something if you want to do that. You play it. Ultimately, it's going to come back to that same thing. They're your toys, but we want to explore that just a little bit in how do you do that? What do you do with it? I'll give you an example. So of the 2 games that we started with, we started talking about actually 3 games that I like. One of them is Deep Wars. One of the things about Deep Wars that I really like is that it uses the Song of Blades and Heroes rule set. One of the things that I love about the Song of Blades and Heroes rule set is the fact that when you roll, it's a contested dice. So when you roll to attack me and I roll my contested dice, if I beat you, I hit you, even though it's your turn. I love that element.
It keeps you engaged, right?
Right. I do that in Twisted. That's how when Seth and I play or Raul and I play, that's what we do. We have incorporated that in. Now, that's not necessarily a bad rule, but it's something that you're changing. And I know someone has some bad rules out there. I mean, of course, we could sit here and bash GW, right? I mean, anybody can do that. All of the rules changes. Seems like it's never play tested, all of that stuff for the big 40K game. But again, that same principle applies. That I'm going to go with Dan's comment. By the way, it's nice to see you here, Dan. Haven't seen you in a while. The toy police are going to get you. Watch out for those toy police. And again, yeah, absolutely, Alder. There's always going to be some bits in most rule sets that you don't like. And your gaming group just has to adjust that to suit how you want to play the game. Can you think of anything in particular, Eric, that that you do that's distinctly different? I know I just dropped that in your lap with you ill prepared. That may have been on purpose.
I can't say that I do.
No.
Because it's been a while since there was like the instance that we had to cut stuff out like that.
Right.
I think one of the things I do remember, because a lot of these games have force construction rules that you're very limited to what you can do. And I do remember a lot of times, because we're not at a tournament, we're at a local friendly store,
right,
casually playing, kind of just having fun. Some people just trying to learn the game. And a lot of times we would cut out certain rules for constructing your crew. Just have fun. If you want to play with that dude, put him in there. Let's have fun. Who cares if he's OP and he's going to slaughter everybody? It's a dice game, so you never know.
Right.
And 2, with the newer people trying to just get a handle on stuff, we would cut out some of the more complicated rules.
Sure.
And just simplify the rule, like to the point that it's, you're rolling a dice. 1 through 3, you succeed. 4 up to 6. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Right. Kind of like how you run a demo where you don't give them the entire rule set and every expansion that goes along with it. You just give them the bare bones. You
give them the KISS method.
That's right. You've just stripped it down to its bare essentials for how you want to do it. That's a good point. WizKids has some pretty bad line of sight rules. That's very true. I think line of sight rules are one of those rules that typically is people have a favorite, right? And they don't like the other ones
they
at
want
all.
It to work
typically
to their benefit.
Sure,
right?
you want it to work to your advantage. Sure, you do, because you are trying to win a game, right? I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, listen, don't be a bad sport. If you lose, it's okay. Don't go into the game expecting to lose. You go into the game trying to win.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it's okay. Don't rage quit, Terrence. Don't rage quit.
That was one of the hard things I had with my son, was teaching him just go into it and have fun.
Right.
Whether you win or lose, did you have fun smashing somebody or destroying something? Something minor other than just winning.
Right. Right. But you're going in to win. I mean, that's the objective when you set up the game. You want your guys to win. One of the things I really like about having a smaller group of guys like I do to play with, since I don't have a gaming store, so I don't have to deal with going to a game store, and you kind of have to play by the rules when you're at the game store, because you can't just start incorporating what you want unless you have a game group, a specific group of buddies. And that's one of the things I like about what we do here at my place when the couple of guys I play with come over to play. There are many times, in fact, just the last time we played our Battletech campaign, the two of us are like, so how do you think we should resolve this? What do you think? What do you think should be the long term on this? I don't know. Let's write the rule while we're right in the middle of it to suit what it is that we're playing, to suit the game, to suit the story. And I realize that none of this conversation fits in a tournament. None of it does, because you got to have rules hard and fast. Go in to win, but tell a story. Some stories don't have a happy ending, but can still be good. You know what, Alder? I tell a lot of those stories with my games.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's the type of guys, we really are. I mean, you got guys that have died, but maybe they killed another name dude and got a name.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I still, the story I remember most is my dirt farmer, often Jesse James. And I would like to point out that was in the good Wild West Exodus rule set. Just
dice game, right?
Just say it. That's right. Dice game. I pulled it off. So like I said, I don't think that there's necessarily a bad rule set out there. You might know of one. If you do, let us know, because I don't know of a bad rule set. And I've got a bunch of rule books. I've got stuff that ends up in the okay, well, I'll tell you the kind of books that I have. I have books that won't sell, that they sell so poorly that Alan has had them in his store forever. And he's just like, will you take these, please? I'm like, yes, I will. I'll put them on my shelf and then read through them. And they just don't get traction. But I don't think there's necessarily bad rules, like rule set. But there are certainly some bad rules that kind of get in there that are bad to us subjectively, and I think one of the important things that we have to do, because here's the thing, man, I'm going to wax a little philosophical here for just a second. Here's the thing is video games are supplanting miniature games, because just like when I go to conventions and people say, oh, don't touch my miniatures. Video games don't say no to these kids that are coming up to play, right? So we have to be, we got to be the good guys. We got to be drawing them in. We have to be that group of people that makes these games enticing, because we have to have another generation of people to play.
Yeah,
I think that's super important. And people want to tell a story in a game. Sure, they want to win. I mean, like my kids. Sometimes at the end of an Alpha Strike game with Little Mac, I got to be like, hey, dude, did you have fun, though? Well, but did you? Well, I guess I did. I got to remind him of a few good rolls he's had or something, something like that. But I think we just have to be the ones that are going to be the positive influence on the gaming community. You know what I mean? Like,
some of the problems, it's not so much that it's a bad rule set. It may be written badly where it's hard to understand the rules. So sometimes you got to cut through that. Yeah. And we talk about making changes. Well, that's a perfect example. Make a change that makes sense, I guess. So then it can be fun. But yeah, and I think that's one of the things I think people get, they get frustrated with that they can't understand. I mean, I can remember with Wild West Exodus, some of the newer players are introducing it to players. They just don't get it. Like something just does not click.
Right.
And even after seeing it in play, it still doesn't quite click. So sometimes
would that be second edition?
Yeah, could be. Because sometimes
because it probably would have clicked with first edition.
Sometimes there's too many rules, and that goes back to where I said you cut out some of that fat, right?
Yeah.
And make it simpler and more streamlined, so it is faster paced. You're not sitting there going, "Oh, is this the right?" No, just get rid of all that stuff and let's just have fun.
Yeah, and I think it does have to go back a lot to that. When I said I was going to wax philosophical, you're gonna have to forgive me. I was going somewhere with that, and I was in the sun all day long. I think I cooked my brain today. I think I cooked my brain because, like, I started talking, then I went, "Oh my gosh, what am I talking about? I don't even know what I'm talking about." So my apologies to everyone because, I cooked my brain today, floating in the lazy river with my wife and sliding down slides with my kids. I'll be the first one to admit it, but that's okay. I just think it's important that we make the games what we want. I mean, I knew everybody that listens to us was going to say the things that they said, right? That they're your toys. You play the games how you want to play them. I think that that's a really positive view in the gaming world. I think it really is. Obviously, you can't do that in tournaments because you got to have rules for tournaments.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get rage quits and fist fights over little tiny plastic soldiers, because that makes a lot of sense. And just the toy police aren't going to get you, right, Dan? The toy police are not coming for you. And that play the game to have fun. Just play the game to have fun, because what else are you doing? I mean, just think about this for a second, okay? You are playing with tiny men. With most of them don't have eyeballs, because most of us don't paint eyeballs on our models. Right. Oh, yeah, exactly. Or they're looking opposite directions. So, I mean, just keep that in perspective, man. This first world problems, right? First world problems. Just keep that in perspective when we play our games, is that it's supposed to be for our enjoyment and to relieve our stress.
And another thing too is, these game companies are constantly doing new updates and new additions and stuff like that. Don't get hung up on that and worried about learning a rule system, new one. If there's one you like, you can stick to it. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. You can keep playing that one system, as long as you want.
If you still like Heldorado, buy a 3D printer, and you can probably find a book on eBay.
Yeah.
First edition Wild West Exodus. You may not be able to find a book on eBay, because I think I bought them all. I got like 9 of them. Thanks for joining us, Alder. We'll see you later, sir. Enjoy Alder. Your day of work and your upcoming weekend in the future. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight. Shot it past Eric is, again, it just boils down to play the game you want to play. Have fun with your tiny plastic men. Don't let it become what it's not supposed to be. We already know we're all obsessed with more miniatures, right? We already know that. We're all obsessed with it, but don't let it become something that it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyment for us. And I think that that's an important thing for us to remember. And the way we handle the rules speaks directly to that.
Yeah.
Play it how you want to play it. Get a couple of really good buddies. Rewrite a whole rule set if you want to. Play the game how it makes the most sense to you and is the most fun. That's all there is to it.
I think thinking back, I think one of my most enjoyable times was sitting with our little group and coming up with a scenario, and we played through it a couple times, and it's like, okay, let's come up with this rule, or something would come up and it's like, oh, let's try this for the next game. So that was probably the most fun, is doing something like that and changing the rules to where we were having fun with it. And just like we said here many times, telling a story
with a sad ending. If your dice roll poorly, it'll be a sad ending. I'm going to end, before we do the out, I'm going to end with this. This is a sad story, but it is one of those stories that I will forever remember. We were playing a game of Drowned Earth. I can't remember who I was playing. And I had built this crane for my table. And it was about, I guess, let's see. It was probably 3 feet tall.
That's what I thought it was.
The whole crane was probably 3 feet tall. It was an old toy. And in the Drowned Earth, if you roll a 10, that's called a feat. Without getting into all the rules, that just means you get another action. And they'll stack, right? You can keep doing it if you keep rolling 10s. Well, I had a model start at the base, and I rolled 4 10s in a row for her to climb. And she just bam, 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 bam. I mean, she was smoking going up this thing. On the 5th roll, I fumbled. I rolled a 1. Now, like most games, that's bad. And I fell all the way back down, and she died. There was no roll for that. She was just too high. There was no surviving that. But that was, I don't even remember if I won the fight or whatever. I don't remember any of that. But that's the part that both of us remembered at the end of the game. That was the part that we remembered, and we didn't remember anything else about the game except, oh my gosh, that was crazy. So
person sprinted up to the top just to
like grab a piece of crumbling concrete and just, Hans Gruber fall.
Epic fail.
Yeah, just Hans Gruber fall off the top of the crane. So
that's slow motion.
Yeah, all the way to all the way down.
Oh man.
So I think it's your turn, sir. It has to be your turn. You weren't here last week.
Well, yeah. You did my turn last week. So
I did.
All right, guys. Well, that is all we got for you today. Thanks for joining us this Thursday. Please follow, like, subscribe, smash that button on, today, YouTube, Twitch.
Yeah.
Join us every week for Shorts live stream, whether we're doing a topic or a hobby night. We enjoy you guys joining us, and you can find our past shows, audio, on all the podcast platforms, Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts. Actually, we might have to change this because I think Google's going away.
Oh, is it?
iHeartRadio, Pandora, Stitcher, Spotify, all those places you can find podcasts. And check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and Discord, and drop us a line at indieinvasion@gmail.com. And speaking of Indie Invasion Discord, there's a link for you guys, and we have the links down below in the show notes to all these places, so you can just click and go to them. And while you're at it and you want to support us, find us on Indie Invasion merch at redbubble.com/people/Indie Invasion. If you want a hat, a mug, t-shirt, I actually have to go on there and order a hat for Pops. He wants a hat.
Oh, nice. He's always the first one on.
Yep, and stickers, all kinds of stuff. So, but yeah, that's all we have this week, guys. And until next time, prepare yourself for the invasion.